The sailing internet loves a fight, and this might be one of the oldest ones. Is a slow, heavy, old school blue water cruiser actually safer, or are we all just romanticizing boats that sail like furniture? Because on one side, you've got modern production boats with huge cockpits, bright interiors, twin wheels, big aft cabins, and enough space to host Thanksgiving. And on the other side, you've got boats like the Down East 38. Full keel, cutter rig, heavy displacement, old glass, deep storage, and the kind of motion at sea that makes people say things like, yeah, she's slow, but she'll take care of you. Now, before we get too far into this, we need to clear up one confusing thing. This boat gets called two different names. You'll see it written as the Downeaster 38, all one word, and you'll also see it written as the Down East 38, two words. They're talking about the same boat. The company was called Down East Yachts, but the boats themselves were marketed under the Downeaster name. Over the years, brokers, owners, listing sites, and dock philosophers with coffee breath have used both names. So if you're searching for one of these, search both. Downeaster 38 and Down East 38. Same beast, same long keel, same heavy old cruising logic. And that old cruising logic is really what this boat is about. Because the Downeaster 38 is not a modern production boat. It's not a wide stern twin wheel apartment with a mast designed to make a boat show couple say, look at all the natural light. No, this is a heavy, full keel traditional cruising boat from the 1970s. It was designed when people were still building boats around the idea that someday, whether you planned it or not, you might get caught offshore in something ugly. And that brings us to the big question. Is an old, slow, heavy blue water boat actually better than a newer, faster, more comfortable production cruiser? The honest answer is sometimes. And the Downeaster 38 is a very good boat to use for that argument. Down East Yachts was based in Santa Ana, California, which is funny because everything about the Downeaster 38 looks like it escaped from a Maine boatyard. The company was founded by Bob Poole, who had previously been involved with Columbia Yachts. That's clue number one. The Downeaster 38 was designed by Henry Mohrschladt and Bob Poole, and Mohrschladt later became one of the original founders of Pacific Seacraft, which is clue number two about the design philosophy behind these boats. This was not a company chasing stripped out racing numbers. They were building traditional cruising boats, heavy boats, comfortable boats, boats with bowsprits and trail boards and full keels, protected rudders, and interiors that were meant for people who grind coffee beans by hand to save on amps. Production started in the mid-1970s, around 74 or 75, depending on the source, and it ran into the early 80s. The number most commonly quoted is around 230 boats built, though some owner sources put the number a little higher, closer to 250. Either way, this is not a one-off oddball. There are enough of them around that the boat has real owners, a real history, and enough surviving examples to know what tends to age well and what tends to need attention. The basic numbers are very telling. The Downeaster is 38 feet overall with a 29-foot waterline, 11-foot 10-inch beam, and a draft just under 5 feet. Displacement is about 19.5, with roughly 8,000 pounds of ballast. So this is not a light boat. For comparison, a lot of modern 38-foot production cruisers are much wider in the stern, much lighter for their length, and designed to give you enormous interior volume. It's not automatically bad. Modern boats aren't stupid. They're just faster, roomier, brighter, easier to maneuver, and often better suited for the way most people sail right now. But the Downeaster 38 comes from a different religion. The ballast ratio is strong, the displacement is high, the draft is moderate, and the keel is long. The rudder protected. This boat has a lot of wetted surface, a lot of fiberglass in the layup, and a hull shape that's not trying to surf downwind at 14 knots while the owner wonders why the wine glasses are airborne. This boat was designed to track across oceans. It was designed to carry stores. It was designed to move comfortably. And it was designed for sailors who valued motion and security and self-sufficiency more than marina glamour. Now, does that mean it's better? No, it means it's better at certain things. The Down East 38 is going to feel very different from a modern production cruiser. In light air, it's not going to leap forward. It is heavy, and heavy boats need horsepower from the wind. If you sail in a place where the wind is often 5 knots and you want to ghost around with a smile on your face, this boat may test your patience and your diesel budget. The sail area to displacement ratio is modest. The displacement to length is high. Those numbers mean exactly what they sound like they mean. This boat is not a feather, it's furniture with a keel. But when the breeze fills in, that same heaviness starts working for you. This is where old heavy boats earn their fans. They don't have to be exciting to be impressive. A boat like this can settle into a groove and track in that groove day after day after day. It feels planted. It can carry sail without feeling twitchy. It can make rough water feel less dramatic than it really is. The hull was hand-laid fiberglass. The ballast was lead, encapsulated inside the keel molding. The hull-to-deck joint was substantial, with the deck fastened through the cap rail and tabbed inside. Through hulls were fitted with seacocks. The rudder is protected by that long keel. These are not small details. These are the bones of an ocean-going boat. And when people talk about old boats being strong, this is usually what they mean. And this is where we have to talk about buying one of these today. Right now, these boats seem to live roughly in the $25,000 to $50,000 range. There's one in Panama for $35,000, one in California for $28,000, and a nice looking one in Maryland for $49,000. And that price range is a big temptation because for the price of a used truck, you're looking at a 38-foot traditional world-traveling blue water cruiser with a full keel, cutter-rigged, big interior, heavy displacement, and offshore bones. That's a dangerous thing to imagine. This is the kind of price that makes people open Yacht World at 11 p.m. and start saying things like, honestly, how hard could a refit be? And that's how this boat gets you. The purchase price is not the cost of the boat. That's just a cover charge. With a Downeaster 38, condition matters more than anything else. A $28,000 boat that needs standing rigging, sails, tanks, wiring, engine work, deck repair, new electronics, canvas, plumbing, batteries, and a windlass is not cheaper than a $49,000 boat that already had the ugly work done properly. It may just be hiding the bill in smaller envelopes. The deck is a big survey item. These boats had cored decks, and any boat this old can have wet core around hardware and chain plates, stanchions, hatches, and deck fittings. The hull-to-deck joint can also leak with age, and because of the way it's constructed, leaks may not always be obvious or easy to chase. That does not mean run away from these boats. It means survey it like a grown-up and be honest. Tap through the deck, moisture meter the deck and the hull, look around the cap rail, look for staining below, look around port lights and cabin windows, look at bulkheads, look at tabbing, look at chain plates, look at every through hull, look at the rudder, look at the steering system and the fuel tank and water tanks, the wiring, and ask if it's been upgraded by a marine electrician or someone named Boat Dave holding 3 rolls of electrical tape and a dream. The original engine with these was often a small ferryman diesel, somewhere around 24 horse. Many boats have since been repowered, which can be good or bad depending on how it was done. A proper repower is a huge plus. A bad repower is just an expensive problem wearing fresh paint. For a boat this heavy, 24 horse is not luxurious either. It can work, but most owners would probably prefer something stronger. The cockpit is another important point with this boat. The Downeast 38 has a large cockpit, and at anchor, that sounds great. Lots of room, comfortable, social, very nice. But offshore, cockpit size and layout are not just about comfort, they're about bracing and drainage and line handling and safety. Some reviews and owners of this boat point out that the cockpit can be awkward for winch work. The seats are wide, the wheel can restrict movement, and single-handing may not be as easy and romantic as the brochure version would suggest. A modern boat may actually be better laid out for easy day sailing and short-handed coastal cruising, and that matters. Because the Downeaster 38 has the look of an old offshore boat, but the cockpit still needs to be judged carefully on how you're actually going to use it. Can you reach the winches? Can you brace your feet? Can you move past the wheel easily? Are you mobile enough? Can you reef this boat quickly? And can you control the head sail by yourself? Would you want storm boards or better protection for those big cabin windows if you were actually going offshore? These are practical questions, and they matter more than whether the boat makes your heart do a little teak-flavored cartwheel. Below, the Downeaster 38 is one of those boats that feels bigger than the length suggests. The beam's nearly 12 feet, the displacement gives it real volume, and the layout is very livable for an older 38-footer. There's a proper galley, a nav station, sea berth, storage, and the kind of interior that makes sense for cruising rather than just entertaining. Is it a modern condo? No. It won't have the aft cabin apartment feel of a newer production cruiser either. It won't have the same light and the same beam carried aft, the same enormous swim platform, or the same dockside living room vibe. But it may be better at sea, and that's the tension. A modern production boat can offer wins at the dock or at anchor. The Downeaster 38 may win on the third day of a rough passage when nobody cares about the upholstery anymore and everyone just wants the boat to behave and keep them safe. A modern production cruiser says, look at how much space you get down below. Well, the Downeaster 38 says, look how much boat you get in a storm. And those are different promises. Neither one's actually right. If your sailing is mostly weekends in marinas and short hops, swimming off the stern in Caribbean gin water and entertaining friends, a coastal cruiser, a production cruiser, might be the better boat for you. It'll probably sail faster in light air, turn more easily in tight quarters, and have a more open cockpit and feel more modern inside. But if your dream is a tough, older cruiser that can carry gear, move comfortably, forgive bad weather mistakes, and feel like a proper little ship, the Downeaster 38 starts making a very compelling argument, especially at $25,000 to $50,000. The danger is that people hear bluewater boat and stop thinking. Don't. Bluewater design doesn't erase age. A 50-year-old Downeaster is not automatically ready to cross oceans because it has a full keel and salty eyebrows. It's ready when the rig is right, when the deck is dry, the systems are sorted and dependable, the engine works properly, the sails are good, the steering's sound, the tanks are trustworthy and leak-proof, the wiring is sane, the safety gear is current, and the owner has stopped pretending it just needs a little cleanup is actually a refit plan. But if you find a good one of these, or one that's already been properly sorted and refit, there is a real boat here, a serious boat. Not a fast boat or a fancy boat, not modern, a serious offshore boat. And that's why the Downeaster 38 still matters. And if you're shopping, check out this article called Liveaboard Insurance. Harder to get, more important than ever. Tight underwriting, stricter navigation limits, and a shifting market mean today's cruising sailors need to understand their policies, not just buy them. This is a great and informative read if you have a few minutes. I'll leave a link in the description for you. And while you're here, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out, but also it lets YouTube know that you like sailing videos, so it'll show you more of them. How cool is that? And hit subscribe so I can see you again next time.